Lee in Madison, you're on the score.
Yes, guys. How you doing?
Good, Lee.
Good.
The thing I enjoyed about the Duke game more than anything, it showed me exactly what two sports intellectuals you guys are. I mean, you've been bashing Duke for how many years now?
Bashing them? I've never bashed the quality of their team.
And you bash the coach.
I hate the coach.
I do too.
But a lot of guys hate you guys.
So they're allowed to. Why am I not allowed to hate Mike Krzyzewski?
But aren't one of you an alumni of Boston, Duke?
Yes.
Yeah. So why would you hate your team if you're an alumni of it?
Oh my God.
What is that?
Oh my God! Of course,
No, seriously. What does going to the school have to do with it?
What is that? That's why the oh my God.
Okay, let me ask you, why would you hate? What has Krzyzewski ever done to make you hate him?
He's probably the biggest SOB among a group of SOBs.
But aren't you guys?
Maybe some would think that, but so you're saying yes, fine. So by that logic, I'm not allowed to have a negative opinion about anybody?
You guys have negative opinions.
Okay, so hold on a second. Am I allowed to have a negative opinion about someone?
You have negative opinions about the people watching your show.
If I am allowed to do that...
He does?
Okay, so you're saying I'm entitled to my opinion, right?
Yeah, sure, you're entitled to your opinion.
Okay, well, that's my opinion. I don't know what did get back to your initial point. Your point was that what did last night's game prove? So here's the thing, Lee. If you are calling in to say you don't like us and you don't like the show, say it and leave it at that. And I don't give a rat's ass what you think.
Right.
But if you're going to call and try to expand an arbitrary basketball game to make that point, that's just stupid.
Okay. Can I speak now?
Yeah, but if your point is that you don't like us, say so. Just say that.
We don't care.
Okay,
and I'll tell you I don't care.
It's obviously my point because you guys are wrong so often. But I want to ask you
about what were we
wrong? You were wrong about Duke. You said
what did I say?
Duke had no chance in the tournament.
I didn't say they had no chance.
Yes, you did, guys.
No, Lee, I did not say they had no chance. I said that they, like all Duke teams, could be easily upset.
And, here's another thing. So many people thought that was an awesome game, great game.
They're wrong. They're all wrong.
But why are you right and everybody else wrong?
Because it wasn't a good game.
Because you don't like Duke.
No, I don't like either one of the teams.
Hey, Lee, how long have you been watching NCAA basketball tournament?
A long time.
And so you're telling me that as a longtime viewer, that knowing the type of players and games that have been in Final Fours, you're going to elevate that game above all those other games and all those other players.
Not above all of them, no.
Okay, what game was better than that?
There's some great games.
Name one.
Michael Jordan game with North Carolina, or when...
okay.
Who did they beat in that game?
The North Carolina game, I believe they beat Georgetown with the thrown away pass by Brown, wasn't that?
Well, which game? Are you talking about that game or are you talking about the...
Well, I've seen very exciting games. But what I'm trying to say is...
we just don't... First of all, I don't know why... He doesn't hate Duke. He hates the basketball team, and that's okay.
I don't hate the school.
He doesn't hate the school.
But why do you hate the basketball team?
They're not likable. Their coach is a raging jerk, and the players aren't likable.
Right.
I used to like them.
The players can read and write. Is that what the problem is?
The players can read and write.
What players can't read or write in college basketball?
Oh, well, come on.
Give me
tell us why can
you go with the Georgetown teams or?
Oh, really? Georgetown? Those players can't read or write, but the Duke players can.
In general, no. They shouldn't even be in school.
Who?
Okay.
Hey, Lee. Let me ask you something.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you think that Duke relaxes its requirements for its basketball players?
Absolutely not.
Lee, can I tell you something? Lee, John Shire, if any player on that Duke basketball team, any one of them, applied to Duke University, they would be immediately rejected. The average, and I'll give you average SAT scores, too. It is a 500-point differential between the average SAT of a basketball player at Duke and the average SAT of a regular student.
And where do you get these statistics from?
You can get them anywhere.
Well,
they were most recently in the New York.
I would have to see these statistics.
They were most recently in the New York Times. You can get them anywhere. First, you can get them anywhere you want, Lee, because they have to be published. It's public information. Second of all, I want you to name 2 players on Georgetown.
Right now?
Yeah, these players who you say can't read or write.
I don't like Georgetown at all.
Why don't you like Georgetown?
Why don't you like Georgetown?
I could give you reasons why I don't, but why don't you?
Because I think that they're a corrupt school and that
they're corrupt. How is Georgetown is a corrupt school?
Yeah, because it's one of the best schools in the nation, and you have a bunch of players on the team.
So does Duke. But Duke admits that. Duke doesn't hide the fact that they make all kinds of they relax their policies. They make concessions for players who wouldn't otherwise get in. Duke doesn't pretend that they don't do that. They're very public about that. But if this whole thing about Georgetown not being able to read or write, yet you can't name any players on that team.
I choose not to know the team.
Why?
I choose not to follow the team.
But yet you choose not to know them, yet you choose to assume they can't read or write. I think a reasonable person would see that doesn't quite work.
I disagree with you.
How could you choose to not know anything about them and then say that you know that they can't read or write?
Because that's my belief. Am I entitled to that? Just like you're...
No, you're not entitled to it.
There's an opinion and there's a belief.
Let me explain why. You're not entitled to it because you just told us you try to not know about them. So why should you be entitled to believe something when you've chosen ignorance?
Do you know about them or don't you know about them?
Because I disagree with the way they run their school. That's ignorance.
Who? You disagree with the way who? Hold on. What? You disagree with the way who does what?
John Thompson. Going back to John Thompson.
John Thompson is not there.
Just going on. That's when it all started. Back with John Thompson, all the way through.
Okay. What specifically?
None of those guys on that floor.
Lee, nobody on the Duke team could get into Duke, and nobody on Lee. Listen to me. Nobody on Carolina could get into Carolina. Nobody on Texas could get into Texas. Certainly nobody on Michigan could get into Michigan. Lee, that's every school. And even your precious Ivies. Even the Ivies, even without scholarships, the Ivy League schools also dramatically relax their standards to allow players in. So if you don't like that, if you don't like a differential in intelligence or in academic ability between athletes and the general student body, you don't like college basketball.
I find it really difficult after many years of being around college basketball and with no absolutely zero any preconceptions about anything that goes on with Duke, right? I had none at all. But I could not find, and I gave my list last week, I could not find a guy, possibly, right in the college game right now, because Knight's no longer doing it, that I dislike more than Mike Krzyzewski. I can't, or his players. And and most of these teams, while I dislike the coach, I don't dislike the players. With Duke, it's generally both. Over the years, and I said this yesterday, there's just so many of them. And the holier-than-thou attitude, while given up, it's like Notre Dame football, but while given up by most people who do the games, just a bunch of kiss-asses, the facts of Duke basketball are just what Dan Bernstein said there, because Phil Henderson got into school. Phil Henderson from Crete Monee, maybe you remember, maybe you go back far enough to remember him, unbelievably dumb. One of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. Couldn't put together a sentence. Was sitting in a Duke uniform, and I sat and talked to him about his old days at Crete and then his days with Duke.
This is not even worth debating because Duke doesn't debate. That's why they hire academic advisors to help these guys not flunk out.
It's not. I bet he likes Wisconsin.
And they steer them into easy classes. There are plenty of athletes in revenue-generating sports who are marvelous students. And
sociology program.
Well, sure. And they become Rhodes Scholars. There's some brilliant people who are true student athletes, but you will not find a single school anywhere in basketball or football that does not allow people to their school to ply their trade as a basketball player and a football player primarily and a student secondary.
Yeah, if you followed basketball over the years, if you haven't read enough or know enough, you have a frame of reference to understand that Duke and that basketball program are just asswipes. I mean, from top to bottom in that program. And I'm not even talking about grades. Never mind standards or relaxing standards. I've never seen anything like it. And this guy perpetuates that myth every time he talks. Now, a couple years ago, he didn't care if he won, right?
I don't
care if he won. I got great kids there. I don't care if I win.
And the Coach K thing is one thing, but I don't actively root against Duke basketball.
I do.
You do. I don't actively. But what I've tried to explain to people is that I rooted for them when I was there, and I was there for 4 years, and I had a great time, and I enjoyed the games, and it mattered to me if they won, and I had 4 years of going to the Final Four and a senior year national championship, and I decided upon leaving the campus and getting into sports broadcasting that it would behoove me to not care about the basketball team anymore. That's all.
It's a wise decision.
And believe it or not, it's a lot easier to do than some people seem to think it is.
Well, again, you've never said you hate school. You just don't like the basketball program particularly, or Coach K. And I don't think that's a basketball sin. Can I tell you something? That of the people who actually used to write at that time and were actually thoughtful about what they were doing, they all felt the same way. This generation of writers embraced the guy like he's the pontiff of basketball. He's not. He's just not. And a couple years ago, we don't care if we don't win. I got great kids. Don't tell me about we don't make any final eights, we don't make any final fours. I don't care. You just dismissive
I'm a shaper of men. I'm a leader of a captain of industry and a leader of people. So it doesn't none of it matters. It was all a lie.
So, Lee, you may think you know college basketball. My premise would be very simple. You don't know your ass from a hole in the ground.
Boers and Bernstein, WSCR.